Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Wanted to do a quick show, a little bit different. I'm going to be doing Goddard tomorrow, so don't worry, it's coming right back. But wanted to talk about words and word choices and what words we use and when and how. And a lot of us, I think, kind of get hung up on what word. Like, ooh, you shouldn't say want, you should say wish. Or, ooh, you shouldn't say obsess, you should say love. Or, ooh, you shouldn't say whatever. I think there's a lot of words that many of us have these hang-ups on because maybe we read someplace, maybe somebody told us someplace, maybe something somewhere suggested that certain words are bad to use. It's not that the word itself is bad to use. What matters is what the word means to us, right? Some people, the word may not mean the same thing. Certainly people, for an example, someone that maybe doesn't speak English as a first language, right? That they might use totally different words, meaning something much different than maybe somebody who grew up speaking it and might have, 5, 6, 7 words to choose for that sort of feeling or a concept. What the word means, the annotation versus connotation, some people have talked about before. Essentially, there's a dictionary meaning of a word, sure. But there's really more of an emotional meaning of words to us. And as we've talked about before, Goddard says it as well, emotions are really what do the requesting or what do the work. So we think of something in a conscious way and we impress that upon our subconscious with feeling. So the subconscious finds out about it because it felt it. It's like, wow, what was that, right? So because of that, it then runs off and makes it so. So maybe you use a word like love, but when you say love, you maybe mean it in an obsessive kind of way. I'm not saying you do, but I'm just saying as an example. So then every time you say, I love my SP, oh, I love them, you're actually probably using a word that has sort of a negative effect on you manifesting this relationship with this individual. And then on the converse of that, you might say the word I obsess about them, but actually mean that I think about them a lot. I kind of wonder what they're up to. It's just like they pop into my head frequently. It's not that you're necessarily wanting to sell body parts for them, or not necessarily that you're stalking them, or not necessarily that you're, plucking pieces of hair out of their head so you can go home and do a little like voodoo on it. No, you're just talking about a word and using it like, well, I think about them all the time. I'm obsessing. Well, you don't really mean it like they talk about how it shouldn't be used. Good example, too, that I've heard before that I think gets confused is daydreaming versus intentional thought. And I'll be honest, I've had experiences where I felt like I was having a daydream, but the daydream was about something I enjoyed and I got feeling from it. So without a doubt, it was a creative moment. Now, whether or not I was seeing the future, maybe I'm having a little insight into something, or maybe I just had some weird place where all of a sudden my thoughts were I was in them, they were in me. But I was sort of in a daydreaming kind of thing. Now, we could again, some people are going to say, well, you weren't really having a daydream, Dan, because daydreams are bad. And again, that's my point. It's a word. A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. A word doesn't mean anything. Anything. A word only means what it means to us. Meaning some words may not mean anything to you, but might mean something to me. I've been writing SQL all day, like gobs of it. So if you say something like insert, or if you say something like update, I'm thinking SQL. Like instantly my mind goes somewhere else. But if I say insert to you, you might be thinking about putting food into something or whatever. I don't know. Insert's probably got a different meaning to you. It's not the same word. So again, words have the meaning that we give them. So trying not to get too terribly hung up on all the crazy things that are out there, all the people that say, no, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this. Want and wish are ones that I fought when I was younger. And the concept of want, again, if you want something, but you're really more saying, I want to experience lack of this thing, so I constantly desire it, right? Because desire is now a word you can use instead of want, but they mean the same thing maybe. But if I'm trying to create a situation where I'm without something, and therefore I crave it, again, another word, then I'm going to create a situation where I'm lacking this thing, and I'm desiring to have it. I'm desirous of it. Maybe because I use the word want, maybe because I use the word desire, maybe not of any of the words, but the sheer fact of the matter that what I'm feeling when I'm saying it is, I really want to have this thing that I don't think I can have, or I really want to have this thing that I think is out of reach, or I really want to have this thing that I probably can't have, whatever. We'll have some sort of like, bring it, but like pushing out, but bring it in, right? Like that whole thing. It's like, you can't do that. So let's make sure that the words we're using, one, if we're somebody that pays a lot of attention to what word we're using, let's really make sure that when we're using that okay word, that the meaning we've got behind it isn't necessarily lost. Let's make sure we're understanding where we're coming at from it with that word, right? Why are we using the word we're using? Why are we making a big deal about a word that maybe really doesn't matter? What I'm thinking here is something you all can share for all of us, and the ones I'm going to share right here, probably want and wish. I still kind of catch myself using that. Like instead of want, I'll replace it with wish because they always say be careful what you wish for, right? So in my mind, wish is a more powerful word. But again, it's only because that's meaning I've given it. It's not that it's true. It's not that it's not true. It's just true for me. Again, beliefs are personal. Words are personal. What it means to you, what it brings about within your mind is what matters. So what are your hot words? What are your couple words that you like to catch yourself and change, or that you like to point out to other people and say, ooh, no, you should never use that word? What's your word choice? And I'm not going to criticize. I'm sure it's a great word, and I'm sure you're right, and we probably shouldn't use it. But what'll be fun is for all of us to kind of see a lot of the words that we've all heard about that you're not supposed to say, but some of us will look at it and go, yeah, but that word, it doesn't really mean what the bad meaning is to me, right? Like, I desire something, but that doesn't mean it's to the point of unhealthy, right? So just because I use the word desire doesn't make it bad. Again, it's not the word. It's the feelings behind it. Dan Radio Style.